Okay guys, I'm back. Now what we're going to do, finish polishing the barrel hood. I think it came out pretty good. Now what we're going to do here is on these barrel lugs, we're going to relieve the sharp edge just a little bit. I mean ever so slightly. And I'm going to use a very fine finishing file to do that. Again guys, if you are not comfortable doing this, don't. Okay, that's the best way I know to tell you. Will it hurt? Can you mess it up? Yes, you can. So this is one thing you want to be careful. But we're not really removing any material from the top of the lug or the bottom of the valley here. We're just relieving the edge so slightly. And so that's all we're doing. And all this does is help it lock in the battery a little better. You have a new gun, after 1,000 rounds, it's going to already be done what we're doing now anyway. We're just kind of speeding the process up. So ever so slightly. We're not hitting the top of the lug. We're staying out of the valley. We're just relieving the edge. And it does not take much to do it. You may not think you're doing anything, but you are. And that's it. Something's already off. Now this one's got a very sharp edge. So when we come into it, the edge is gone. A little bit over here still. Edge is gone. Get the front end of it. Again, we're not on the top. We're keeping this at an angle, 45-degree angle. We're not on top of the lug. We're not really getting into the valley. We're just removing that sharp edge just a little bit, almost kind of giving it a little chamfer. And that's good. Get the front just a tad bit. Does not take much to do this, guys. Very, very little. Here. Sharp edges are gone. And that's what we're after. That is what we're after. Now this theoretically is supposed to make it lock into battery a little bit smoother. Is it a necessity? Again, it just depends on you. I like the ideal of being able to do that, and that's it. So we're going to polish this just a little bit with the buffer wheel. I think this came out really nice, and so from there we'll move on. And I got one or two more things to do, and then we're going to be ready to put this thing back together. So cannot wait till I get a normal bench and get this thing fixed up right. It's a pain in the ass to do this sometimes. Okay guys, back in a bit. Again guys, we're just going to hit this with the polishing wheel real quick, put a little bit of flitz on it, and then we're going to move on to the frame. We're going to go ahead and get the feed ramp inside the frame, and then we'll hit the rails and we're going to be done. So I'm just going to hit this real quick here. I think that's just about got it. Fluff and buff, so to speak. Feel like I'm still working a shoe shine stand. Okay. All right, that's got it. That's moved in real good. Okay. we're gonna move on to the frame, and I'll set that up. Be back in just a sec, guys. Okay, guys, I already got some flits on the feed ramp that's down inside the barrel, and switched over to a smaller wheel again, and we're gonna hit this much the same way we did the rest. I know this might be kind of boring to you, but this is just what we're doing. I won't sit here and make you watch me do the whole thing. I'll just get it started. And these small wheels fit right down in here. Again, we're not really moving any material. We can't hurt anything. We're just putting a mirror shine on it. And my God, is it ever looking great already. It's not going to take, well, you may watch the whole thing because this isn't going to take very long. Again, not using a lot of pressure. We're letting the machine do the work for us. Yeah, in and out several times. In and out, in and out, in and out, right. Wow, look at that. I hope this can show this up real good, because this is just like a mirror finish on it. Switch it to macro real quick, hang on. Okay, back guys. Now, what we're gonna do, a couple things we wanna do on the frame here, and we'll get going. Now what I've done here is I don't have what is called a polish stick. A polish stick is basically, for lack of a better expression, it's a piece of very fine sandpaper that is wrapped around usually a wooden flat stick. I'm not comfortable in using a file on what I'm fixing to do here. So what I've done is I've cut some 1000 grit sandpaper and 800 grit sandpaper into little strips, and we're going to wrap this small file in it. We're going to use it as a polish stick. Now what I'm doing again here, guys, is all I'm doing is I'm polishing the burrs or any rough spots off of the frame. Now this little file happens to fit in the trigger bow slot very, very well. So I'm just going to take this and we're going to run it in and out, and oh, that feels good. Over and over, just a little bit to remove off any burrs that may be there, top and bottom. We're not trying to remove really any material. We're just trying to smooth off any little burrs that may be there, and we're going to get both sides of the frame. We're not doing very much here at all. Again, is this a necessary thing? Nah, probably not, but since we messed with the trigger and made it look a little bit prettier earlier, might as well go ahead and finish the job somewhat. Now this, by no means, guys, is a full-blown trigger job. It's nowhere near it. This is a common sense, semi-skilled guy with a little bit of common sense, just kind of smoothing off some areas of metal. Now, what we're also going to do with this is we're going to go inside the rails, okay? Again, we're not trying to remove any material, we're just smoothing out some burrs. Now there's an old trick that I have been told by a lot of different folks, and if you're not comfortable doing any of this, you can accomplish literally the same thing. You put a little bit of flits on the rails, both sides. You also put a little bit of flits inside your frame or inside your slide. Leave the barrel, the spring, and all the innards out. Put it together. Sit down in front of your television, back and forth. That's it. Watch TV about 1,000 times. Just run it back and forth. A little bit of flits on it. You know, kind of lifting up on it a little bit maybe every now and then, pushing down on it, running it back and forth. And it will polish those rails much the same way. We're speeding this up a little bit. And before I use the flits and the Dremel on it, we're going to take any burrs out of it, again, with this little setup. And again, like I said, if you're not comfortable doing this, you don't have to by any means. But this is, what we're doing here is not dangerous because this sandpaper is so fine. This is actually this is 1,000. This is 1,000 grit sandpaper. And all we're doing is any imperfection or small burrs that may be there, that's what we're going to do. And it fits in the slot pretty good. And we're just going to kind of hold it as flat as we can to one side, back and forth, down toward the bottom. Nothing major, we're not removing any material. Some of the parkerization may come off, but that's going to in time anyway. Okay, and we're going to do the other side the same way. This one's a little harder because of that spring set. I hope I'm in frame doing this. Again, not removing any material, maybe a little bit of the parkerization, but nothing major. I just made a polish stick is all we did. If you can get polish sticks in your area, that's great. Use those instead. I mean, they're a lot easier than having to hold a piece of sandpaper on it, but this works well too. I just didn't want to use a file on it because I'm not comfortable using a file on this part. All right, that's good. We're going to switch it. We're going to do the same thing to the slide on both sides. Okay. And once you get it in there, it will hold. Or, well, no, it won't either. Made a liar out of me. This is going to be a bitch. Make sure you cut your damn sandpaper long enough so you can hang on to it. Staying in the slide groove, guys. That's all we're doing. Hit the other side. Now I'll have to get a longer piece to get down a little bit further. I'm not going to sit here and watch. I'm sorry, I hope I was in frame. I'm not going to sit here and watch you do the whole, watch you have me do the whole thing. But that's all we're doing inside the frame and just polishing off some burrs. Now I'll finish this with a little bit longer piece of sandpaper so I can get up a little bit further on the frame. Be back in a sec. Okay guys, back and got it all done. I'm here to tell you, it already feels better. It already feels better and I haven't even polished it yet. So we're gonna cut the wheel down a little bit and we're gonna polish. Now, a buddy of mine, Joshua Price 357, it's a good friend of mine, he told me a trick on this. Take these small wheels like this, cut them in half, and they fit right down in the groove real good. So that's what we're gonna do with an X-Acto knife, cut one in half, get back to it, and we're gonna polish these rails. I'll get it started. And back in a sec, guys, show you what we're doing.